Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Lucid, and we are back with new casting. Sorry very much for the delay. I know it's been like a week or something since the last upload. Quite frankly, it's been like Christmas or holiday time over here, and it's been hard to get everybody together to cast, and we need to get some of these episodes out, so I'm just going to hit it solo. Honestly, guys, we're at episode 28. And it's one of the things I don't know if y'all really appreciate, like with like getting Maryland and I to cast the whole tournament, going to like episode 100. It is so hard to do people's schedules and keep everybody motivated to like go all the way up to turn 100. So I think what we're gonna do for this one, for the format going forward, is I'm gonna mostly probably be casting these, but I'll try to have people from the original crew in and out. You know, maybe like every third or fourth video. We'll definitely try to have them like every 10 turns so that people are kind of like, you know, staying patched in with what's happening. But yeah, let's get to it. So we have a message here from Caelum. Hello, this is new Caelum. I forgot to send a message last turn. Taking a crack at Patala's cap will literally break through in 3 turns unless disaster strikes, raiding as much as possible before the others steal up his undefended land. A message from Phlegra. No tyrants as of writing this. I hit Construction 6 recently, so I'm prepared to thug them out. Very cool. All right, let's start with Caelum, who is busy messing with the monkeys. Caelum with probably one of the most dramatic turnarounds I have ever seen. He's down to his cap and a fort, and right now, not many turns later, is making a play at the monkey's cap. So he's got mercs up in front. I don't know what these guys were doing jumping in. Maybe they were going to mess with thugs. I think what you worry about here a little bit is foul vapors. Thunderstrike's coming out though, and air elementals are down. And the birds land, oh gosh. I mean, even foul vapors here is not going to be that good unless you really had a really tough thug that was the one that put it up. I don't want to say that can't be done, but it's certainly not trivial. And I'll turn team colored square so you can just see the kind of Monka carnage that we're dealing with. And this air elemental just coming through. Moss Body's getting popped by these trample attacks. And with Moss Body down, these Nagini are not long for the world. So let's take a look at that again. I want to look at the mage movement from Caelum's side. We know there was an air elemental, some luck, some sermon of courage, some earth power. I think we're going to get a strength of giants coming out here. Yeah, 2 strength of giants going off. Very good for an important battle. So yeah, these guys, you can see they hit a lot harder now because they've got that 14 strength. So that was exactly what I wanted to see. And then a bunch of lightning bolts. We know a Thunderstrike or 2 came out as well. So this is really good. Just really well scripted. I mean, on their side, they didn't really have much impactful getting cast. A lot of the mages were kind of buffing themselves. Here comes Strength of Giants. That's a pretty good thing to cast. Might have been a little bit more. But yeah, that's what happens here. Great Sage is down. He's probably not going to be coming back. And Caelum with very moderate losses compared to what he killed. So that is a pretty decisive win if I've ever seen one. He's continuing to raid out here with this Merc company of Vetis. And yeah, there's still 2 Patala forts, but this one doesn't really have anything in it. This one has some guys, but there's like siege chaff coming in here from Caelum that's presumably going to plow through here pretty quickly. I know there's another fort up here, but maybe this one goes to Bogaroos. So, okay, things are not looking good for Patala. I think Patala is now in, like, the reverse position of Caelum. Except a little better. You know, they've got 4 forts and some land, but it's looking pretty dire. There's a ton of Raven Guard over here, too. So, we'll have to see what all that is going to mean. Presumably, he's going to send them over this way. But he may choose to make a play after Satis. Because coming up to the Satis conflict, Falegra is advancing. Loses a couple barb horsemen. These are part of a merc squad. Yeah. And there's also probably like a big assassin layer. Oh, please tell me this was a thugged out lumber construct. Did not. Dang it. Oh, and he's put this fort under siege with the Drakon. Okay. Hold up. Drakon coming in. A little dangerous using the Drakon with the army like this, because he can gas everyone. You can put him on just attack. But if he kills the intent, like the squad he's targeting, he may choose to gas people. Yeah, like that. So right at the end, after that squad he was targeting died, he just gassed the shit out of these guys. And that you can't fix this. You can try to do like attack rear, but in general, like these guys killed one dude and the Drakon killed 28 guys. So this is the problem using the Drakon in the army. Was he on fire? No. Was he on attack something? Yes. Did he still gas the army? Oh, he certainly fucking did. So, you know, there you go. Oh, so this was actually really interesting. I didn't notice this. So I just pinged her. I was like, oh, he just pinged it. No, he won this battle. And that is because he assassinated the shit out of everyone here. And you can... So if you, like, assassin route a province, which is what happened, all Falegra has to do is put a province defense here, and these guys aren't going to run. The problem if you do that is, like, he may have assassins here, hit your army, and then move an army behind them. In that case, you actually probably want these guys to run rather than get picked off by the army. So putting 0 PD can actually be a tactical choice when you're expecting you might lose a commander to assassins. These guys moving in here. This is like assassin bait, though. It's a commander and a mounted commander. Oof. Same thing here. Not a lot of really solid commanders. These guys are all asking to be picked off. So we'll have to see what happens here. Satis moving back out this way, but clearly losing ground. So, and that's one of the problems if you're really relying on assassins. It's hard to like make major advances. A lot of times you're waiting for your opponent to kind of like fall into your trap. And falling into your trap usually means losing some ground. And Satis is losing a lot of ground. Like if we look at Satis's province graph, yeah, they're the lowest in the game right now. They're even worse off than Batala. But they still have major armies left. They could hang in here. It just is... He is not... Falegra is not prepared for this assassin game. I can just tell you. Like, these are not the kind of dudes that are going to be surviving assassins. Falegra certainly can be. However, it's going to be hard for them to use their mages, because like this guy with a few guys on guard commander can probably survive, especially if you toss like an earth gem or two on him for him to make some baby earth elementals. So like he can, but these guys, yeah, I mean maybe like a fire elemental or something on them, they can kind of do it. Yeah, I mean especially the shackled mages. I mean these guys are pretty hard to keep alive. They are pretty assassin vulnerable mages. You know, this guy a bit less so, but you certainly can have Cyclopses, which are going to be basically immune to assassins. And these guys with, like, dudes on guard commander can be pretty good as well. I believe these guys have good bodyguard, so, you know, they make pretty ideal people to be on guard commander. So there's things you can do, but I don't think we're really seeing a ton of it. Well, I mean, we can look at this and see if maybe he has a bodyguard squad. No, he doesn't. So anyway, that's how this war's going. There's a lot of troops on Falegra's side, but things could fall apart pretty quickly, and he's not really doom stacking. I don't know. I think what I would look to see is having assassin-resistant commanders, and then you're just like, fuck you, I'm going to go on top of your capital. But maybe that's not the right play, because maybe he'd get busted up by, like, Foul Vapors, which Falegra doesn't really love running into. Yeah, I don't know. Normally, late age Satis isn't doing a lot of foul vapors, but he does have the god, which we presume is around here somewhere. Yeah, we can see it right here, BC the Great Sage. So, I don't know. Anyway, that's that conflict. Bogaroos, who has a temporary, at least, peace with Jomon, has now popped this fort of Patala, and generally looks to kind of be keeping things together. If he gets this from Patala, he gets this throne, he gets this land, especially if Satis starts dying and he gets to vulture this off Satis, he'll be in a decent spot. Not a great spot, but a decent spot. Okay, moving along, let's come look at Agartha. So Agartha has jumped on top of Arco, coming to the rescue of... Oh my gosh, that was a lot of summons. Coming to the rescue of Jomon. Oh, Ashes to Ashes doing some serious work here. She's the PD commander too, I think. How many kills does this PD commander get? 22. Not bad. Weakened a lot more though. And he's taken this. He's got a battle here to take this fort. There's nothing inside from Arco. He's got the Cave Knights in the front. Agartha not really using mages in combat. He's using mages to summon troops. His Cave Knights are very hard to kill. And that's a wrap. Loses basically just some long dead. And a tiny bit of other more valuable chaff. So this is looking pretty good for Agartha. I mean, he's getting, probably he's going to get this Inner Throne, which would be really nice for him. Because he could... Oh, he's already Order 3. So... But, still the Blood Slave income. I mean, he might be able to carve for himself out a fair bit of Arcocephale. The downside is Arco was kind of coming in to knock Jomon down a peg, and now it's not looking like that's going to happen. Speaking of which, if we come and look at Jomon, he's marshaled an army here outside of the Arcocephale cap, and it looks like they're basically squaring off for a fight. But they seem to want the defensive advantage. Arco's like, come and get it. I'm protecting my cap. Jomon, a little hesitant to move on it, because presumably there's, the whole mage core of Arco here. It could be a million things. I don't know if he's pinged it with the scout or something. I think we would have seen it, but... I mean, this could be point buff to hell dudes. It could be a bunch of different things. Foul vapors, traps. Who knows what it is? I think, though, if you're in Arco's position, this, while tactically it may make sense any given turn to patrol your capital, strategically you need to fight. You can't afford, if you have one big army, this I think is so important for new players, understanding this part of the game, this layer of the game, is that if you have one army, and if you split that army up, it will get defeated in detail because of the types of armies the enemy's fielding, right? So Arco's in a position, doesn't feel like he can split this army up because it's going to get defeated in detail if he does. If that's the case, especially if you're in a 2v1, where you aren't able to because this army is required to be together so that it doesn't get defeated in detail by this Jomon army, and because of that, because you can't split it up, you can't then keep control of a lot of your territory. You must try to take a fight as soon as possible, right? If you can't negate the logic that if you split it up, you'll die, you must take that fight so that you then can split it up afterwards. Because if you don't split that army up, you're out of the game. It may be like the slow death, the long goodbye, but you're gone. So... playing to win, hopefully we see Arco right out next turn. That's what I'm saying. Long way to say that. All right. More on the Jomon front. He's getting attacked by Abyssia. And he does ride out. So he's got a very tiny squad. This could be enough to just deal with... Okay, this is like a little counter-raiding squad. He's just doing wooden warriors on some kind of elite troops. He doesn't do Strength of Giants, which makes me feel he's not really thinking about the god may come here. He's just thinking, like, we'll deal with some small raiders. The problem is these guys don't have fire resistance, and there's just too many of them. So they trade, I would say, very poorly. These guys are reasonably cheap. They're only 12 gold a pop, so this was not a good trade for Jomon, especially being in a 2v1. I mean, Jomon's big enough that a 2v1 isn't really unfair. But, you still don't want to be taking trades like this. And Abyssia moves down here with a big pile of dudes. Kills these guys. Let's take a look. This is a much bigger mage core, I think, from Abyssia. So, yeah, this is the fire elemental squad. Did you put one fire gem on them? Okay, he did. I approve. Pretty cool. I mean, maybe not ideal, but certainly not bad. And I think what you do is Abyssia. I mean, I don't know what you do. There's some very difficult threats that potentially they're going to run into. Like, they're going to have to potentially fight, like, Point Buff to Hell Ryujin. I'm assuming that that's in the deck of cards because this Jomon player is playing really good. If it's really a new player game, you wouldn't normally expect that sort of stuff from a Jomon player, but I think that's in the world of possibility to expect. And, I mean, certainly those guys can come down here. I mean, strategically, you're in a position where you could, like, concentrate forces down here and, like, just pick this off from them and then delay going on the cap. You're also in a position where you could make a play here, try to get this army off the board and start going for the cap. The problem of going for the cap, in some ways, like, this is the end game for Abyssia. Like, if your war is going to be fighting Jomon, you're kind of fighting to kill him, right? Because you're going to be going for his cap, and if you go after a player's cap, they know no enemy but you, right? So they're going to, out of all the people fighting him, you're going to have to deal with most of it. So you have to kind of ask yourself, do you want that much aggression from position 1? Maybe. I mean, I think the thing is that, like, a couple mistakes here, he runs into a foul vapor trap or something else. Like, it just takes a few little mistakes. And Jomon's got a lot of stuff over here. The tides of war could turn. Let's look at some of these. He was getting raided to death by Ryujin. He's running around. Oh, he's got this fire flare. These flyers with fire flare will probably fuck up Ryujin. Lumber construct. Okay, so here the Ryujin, they're going deep. Okay, they sniped the commander here. So, they're just being annoying here. They're not really getting any permanent gains for Jomon, and he's risking losing them. But he's getting coalition. This isn't exactly a war of his choosing. So, he is taking pressure off, right? Because these armies, which are out here dealing with the Ryujin, could potentially be out here conquering him. So this is a viable strategy to, like, take some of the pressure off. The problem is it just kind of sucks for Jomon because he's not getting anything from this. He can't trace income. Like, it's kind of a lose-lose, but it's not really a lose-lose because he is taking pressure off. By doing this deep raiding, he's keeping some of the armies back here. Now, if Abyssia had a counter to these Ryujin that didn't involve the armies, and it only involved a few mages, which we could speculate on whether or not you can do that. Like, he could do horrors at these guys or something. Like, if he has some kind of counter for these that doesn't require the army to keep the armies at bay, then this gets to be a really bad idea for the Ryujin, or for Jomon in general, because then Abyssia can still fully mobilize, and if Jomon gets like a couple provinces in the back, even if it takes him a while to catch him down, it's not really doing much for Jomon, because it's not keeping armies at home, which I think is the potential real value of deep raiding like this. So I think that's just something important to think about when you're thinking, like, should I deep raid somebody or should I not? Like, You're not going to be able to trace income. It's not going to be terribly good for you. But if it keeps armies at home for the enemy, it may be worth it. So, that's kind of an important consideration. And I believe that ends the Jomon conflict for us. Coming up to Ulm, we see a tremendous amount of ghosts on the border here. Ulm is coming in with some guardians here. He's hitting them with body ethereal, which not very good against ghosts, but just fighting these gnomes. Yeah. Ghoul guardians, excuse me. This would have me sweating fucking bullets if I were Ulm. Ulm can deal... I feel like as the game goes late, Ulm is a very good candidate. You have to play Ulm very well. But Ulm is a very good candidate nation to put Lemuria down. They just have a lot of pretty decent tools to do so. But you need to be playing a really good Ulm game. There's just nothing over here. I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't like this at all. One little tiny bit for Ulm. I hope we get a message from him. I'd love to see what he's thinking at this point in the game. And I believe we have covered most all of the conflicts. Did we cover everybody? Send us a message? Yeah, we sent a message to... Or we got Flegra's message. He's waiting... I think he's kind of just stalling, waiting for his tyrants. I think that's kind of what's happening. Because the tyrants, obviously, you're not going to be able to assassinate them very easily. And they're not going to care about chariots very much, or poison slingers. Well, poison slingers, if they don't have... I mean, you just put a poison ring on them or something, but... Yeah. We'll have to see. Flegra's kind of playing it cool. He's taking a few gains right here. Yeah. Let's go ahead and go to the next turn 34. Actually, it's 20 minutes. I think we'll call this an episode. So, actually, we'll see you next time. Take care.